Ready for the weekend to begin in Columbus, Ohio, where Ohio State has a beautiful new home for lacrosse. The Buckeyes, they're here for a standing room only party with the Terrapins in a top 20 showdown. Tonight, the Maryland Terrapins looking for a bounce back performance. Come to Columbus to call on the Buckeyes of Ohio State, who've been brutally tough to beat in their new facility with lacrosse on Big Ten Network. A very pleasant welcome to you. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. When we size up this matchup, there's plenty of intrigue. Which team has the most to gain tonight?
I'm going to say it's the Ohio State Buckeyes. When you look at this night, prime time, Friday night, under the lights, packed house, home field advantage. The Buckeyes have to exploit that. They have to execute. They're going to get some extra juice from this home crowd. The
Terrapins have said that their offensive game is a work in progress throughout the season. So with that in mind, it's Braden Erksa progressing very nicely.
Number 10, the freshman, has been terrific so far for the University of Maryland. A natural midfielder. He's playing down at the attack position. You look at him wearing that number 10, and I'm not saying he's there yet, but Jared Bernhardt wore that early in his career. Tall, lanky, athletic, and from the Atlanta area. The similarities are there. His performance was terrific a week ago.
As for the Buckeyes, they feel like their offense is, well, rushing it a little bit when they have the ball. It hasn't seemed to bother Kyle Borden.
He has been a true bright spot in this Buckeye offense this year. He can feed. He had 2 assists against Rutgers a couple weeks ago. He can score. A hat trick in State College against Penn State. He is heady. He is big. Terrific player for Ohio State.
Let's tell you about the netminders for this clash. Maryland's Brian Ruppel had to be fast-tracked into a starting role, and he's definitely made the most of it with a save percentage at 53.2. Ohio State, tons of faith in Skylar Walland. He and his defenders have a knack for rising up in the big games, and this is definitely one, the final home game of the Big Ten regular season for the Buckeyes. It's their senior night. It'll be standing room only at the brand spanking new Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium. Joe Beninati and Mark Dixon with you as these two teams are getting set to clash for the 16th time. Maryland 12-3 in those first 15. They've won the last 4, in fact, as they get together tonight. A Friday evening in Columbus, temperatures in the low 50s as we get set for face-off. The officials, referees are Tom Holland, Tyler Harriman, and Timothy Hurlbut tonight. Maryland on the road in red. Ohio State has the white jerseys on. We are off and running. Good wing play, earning the ground ball. That's Cullen Brown, 42 in the white. His dad played in the National Football League with the New York Giants. Cullen, the son of Roger and Courtney, getting the first possession for the Buckeyes.
Real big for Ohio State to get that opening draw.
Snapshot ripped there. Ruppel off of him and in. It bounces home. Dylan McGee strikes swiftly.
If you're an Ohio State fan, you love this start for a myriad of reasons. 1, you win the opening face-off against Luke Weirman. And 2, Dylan McGee scored the first goal of the game 2 weeks ago in a home victory over Rutgers. He starts the party again tonight. Nothing fancy here. Well-placed shot. Ruppel read it, but he couldn't get over in his entirety to stop it from deflecting. Looks like it was off his hip into the cage. 1-0 Buckeyes.
Matthew Fritz is taking the draw opposite of Luke Weirman. McGee gets his 11th on the season. He has tallies in 7 straight. And Fritz, who is limited in practice this week, well enough to start the proceedings at the face-off X for the Buckeyes. He's been subbing in for the injured Drew Blanchard.
And Maryland struggled up the middle last weekend. Weirman at the face-off dot against Wheatfeld of Michigan. Ruppel for the first time in his career, albeit it's only a handful of games, under 50%. And we're seeing those two things start off not in the best way for Maryland.
Bottom of the screen, you're seeing John Tillman's starting lineup. Coach Tillman said of Ruppel recently, you know, he's had a couple of goals bounce in off of him, and right away, one of those from McGee to start the proceedings tonight. Jack Brennan's inverted, midfielder below the goal line. Playing catch with Braden Erksa, the Big Ten Freshman of the Week last week for his 3-goal, 1-assist performance in a loss against Michigan. Over the top, Wallen makes the save there on Brennan.
Well, again, hearkening back to 2 weeks ago against Rutgers, Wallen, 15-plus saves in that game, stopped the first Scarlet Knight shot. You have to be really thinking positive if you're Nick Myers and his staff.
Just shy of the 2-minute mark, opening quarter in Columbus, Ohio. Ari Allen working back from an injury. Coach Myers said, we got to be careful with him, be fair to him. But he's expected to see first midfield duties tonight with McGee and Borda. This is McGee, the freshman who hails from Texas, played a lot of his youth lacrosse on Long Island in New York.
McGee, such a great first step, powerful left hand, a good complement to the big right-handed Kyle Borda.
Borda off the swim, send it back behind the cage to Myers. He's the quarterback for this offense, 2 in the white. Great feeder, setup man. McGee off the sweep, matched up with Nick Red, short stick defensive midfielder for the Terps. Allen, skip it on through. Snapshot score! Colby Smith.
The Maryland defense has to respect the speed and the athleticism of Ari Allen. So you're not going to see them jamming him or putting a stick in his gloves because they're worried about the dodging ability. Well, Ari Allen shows off his feeding chops on this one. Feet planted, hands free, and he finds Colby Smith, the sharpshooter for the Ohio State Buckeyes. He can be a stretch shooter. He's great inside. If you're going to let the feeders for Ohio State have their arms and hands free, you got to account for number 4 in scarlet and gray.
Smith did not have a point mark in the loss to Penn State. Last time out for Ohio State, the Nittany Lions using a 10-3 run to salt that game away. As they scramble for the ensuing face-off, the ball comes up for Maryland. Long stick midfielder Jack McDonald.
Like how Maryland made that a scrum. You saw the adjustment of a jamming technique from Weirman. Didn't allow Fritz to get it out cleanly, and his wings do their job and clean up the mess.
Weirman on the season, 62%. He has the ball right now. Waiting for reinforcements offensively. Jack Corus working against the short stick defensive midfielder Blake Island. Corus will pitch it back behind the goal. Maltz is there. He's an improved Dodger this season. Brennan shaded on the outside by Langermeyer. Shot clock at 35. Maltz digging in against the defensive efforts of Marcus Hudgens. Hudgens, who came to Columbus from West Point, transferring in from Army. Erksa, swing it. Pass to the interior, snapshot score. Daniel Kelly has goals in all 10 games this season.
This Maryland attack does not have the dodging prowess that they had a year ago, even 2 years ago. Maltz and Kelly are really great shooters. Maltz has rounded out his game to be more of a threat, but look at Kelly. You cannot let number 45 in red have that kind of space to operate. That had to be a defensive miscommunication by the Ohio State defense to allow Kelly to be on an island all by himself with time, room, and a clean finish.
Number 18 on the campaign for Kelly. And Mark, to your point about Maryland's attack and ball carriers, the injury obviously to Molliver is impactful in that regard.
It really is. And when you take away Logan Wismauskas, Owen Murphy was playing down low. I'd like to see Murphy get some run on attack.
Full speed ahead. Rupel made the stop there, a kneeling denial on Mitchell Pelkey. And the ground ball comes up for Dante Trader. Looking for fast break numbers here. Geppert hatcheted from the blind side. Good trail check from Cullen Brown. And the Buckeyes regain possession.
Cullen Brown, 6'3", 186 pounds, long, stretchy defender. Use that length with the trail check to get the ball back for Ohio State.
Buckeyes tallies from McGee and Smith. Terrapins on the board thanks to a drive from Daniel Kelly. You're all caught up with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Kick-starting the weekend with you from Columbus. This bouncer pounded into the turf by Jack Myers. Closest to the ball after a shot where and when it leaves gets possession, and it is Maryland awarded the chance to clear. And this is the best clearing team in the nation, Mark. 92% effective.
That's terrific. If you're John Tillman, you love that. And we're going to see a treat tonight. Both of these goaltenders, Ruppel and Walland, are great athletes, and you're going to see them very active out of the cage. They can intercept passes, and they can do just what Ruppel did: win the race to the end line, win possession for their teams.
Hearing those accolades about the clearing ability and then thinking Maryland is using a freshman netminder, that makes it even more impressive what Ruppel's doing to help pilot the clearing game. Terps in the red jerseys looking for the equalizer now. Zach Whittier, second line midfielder, works back behind the cage. Plays the two-man game, and that's a howitzer. Kelly, no mistake.
We talk about the dodge of dodging presence, the lack of dodging presence for Maryland. Ohio State has a short stick on Daniel Kelly, and their job basically is just to be in his hip pocket and to not allow him to do this. You can't let 45 free. And Maryland right now is feasting on the lack of discipline, really, for this shorty unit for Ohio State. We've yet to see Connor Camille for the Ohio State Buckeyes, their short stick D number 1.
We will see him. We have seen him on the sideline. We saw him going through warm-ups. 2-2 game. Kelly has his 5th multi-goal game of the season. It's a Maryland team that's trying to bounce back from a losing effort against Michigan. Michigan beating the Terps for the first time in 11 tries.
If he's going to play, Camille, get him in the game now. You've got torched twice by Daniel Kelly.
Buckeyes settling. Smith on the outside. Colby Smith, who has 4 goal games this season against Rutgers and Denver. The Buckeyes now with the 5 different players in double figures in goals during the campaign. It's a top 20 matchup. Maryland 5th in the land, Ohio State 19th as the weekend was beginning. Dylan McGee, powerful first step. Myers bulldozing his way to the cage, marked there by Makar. Sheehan gets underneath, staggers the defender there. He lost Donovan Lacey. This bouncer from Smith sails wide. The officials giving the ball to Ohio State with 17 seconds to shoot.
Got a final out of Piscataway, Joe. Rutgers in overtime, 13-12 over Michigan. Shane Knobloch, the game winner. Huge win for the Scarlet Knights to go 1-2. You didn't want to go down 0-3 in Big Ten play.
5 seconds to shoot. That flick for Sheehan down on the deck. Red comes up with it, and it will be Maryland's ball.
Great defense by Maryland. Jack Myers, we know he's been nicked up this season. He hasn't been the Jack Myers of 2022. Obviously, he's on Brett Makar, but he's going to have to come up tonight, make some plays in order for Ohio State to have success against Maryland.
Erksa shaded by Van Buren. Van Buren was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last season. Mark, when you and I were last in Columbus, the Buckeyes defenders were outstanding collectively as a trio. Snyder, Hudgens, Van Buren. Snyder's the glue guy back there. So tough to beat.
And they were humbled last week against Penn State with that run. We're also seeing Johnny Cool, a freshman, number 20, getting some minutes down low this week for Ohio State.
Wallen actively out of that goal crease, earns the ball for Ohio State. It's a 2-2 game. We've crossed the midway mark of the opening quarter. The Big Ten standings up to the minute with Johns Hopkins setting the pace.
How about the Blue Jays? Huge game tomorrow night. We'll have it here on Big Ten Network. Maybe the 2 most improved teams in the country year on year, the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays and the Penn State Nittany Lions.
That'll be their 18th all-time meeting. The Blue Jays have won 5 straight games.
And they've ended Penn State's season the last 2 years. So Penn State certainly will have a burr in their saddle tomorrow night.
Connor Mitchell sends it on back for Kyle Lewis. Lewis getting to the alley, picked up there defensively by Maryland's Eric Kohler. Smart double there, and possession for the Terps.
Yeah, and again, Jack Myers just doesn't have that presence, doesn't have that explosiveness. And I know that might be a contradictory term for someone that moves the way Myers does. He just doesn't seem to have that first step to get that leverage against defenders this year. He's going to have to find that gear here tonight.
Trader waits. Dante creates a lot of offense for the Terps from his short stick defensive midfield spot. Picked up on the perimeter there by Langermeyer. Trader finds the open man. That's Kyle Long, the All-American midfielder. Then Chorus bluffs it into the alley. Maltz waiting for the Terps. Kelly has them both for Maryland. Picked up here by the short stick defense of Trent DeChico. Brennan carving in, gets away from a double. Long, feed it inside. Kelly took his eyes off of that one. It bounced out of his cross. Shot clock's at 12.
That was just unlucky for Kelly. He was wide open again. Ohio State's going to have to tighten that up.
Chorus, 6 seconds to shoot. Looking for a cutter. Fires from the bad angle, sent it wide. Ohio State gets possession.
Look at Makar's defense on Myers. Fights through the two-man game, and then a great jump from Kohler. Yeah, Myers just not recognizing those kinds of things over the last couple of weeks, and teams are really going to zero in on him. He is a first-team All-American caliber player. Head
coach Nick Myers lamenting self-inflicted mistakes. A lot of turnovers, penalties that have cost Ohio State in recent weeks. McGee launching himself into a dodge against Lacey. Ari Allen swings it back behind. They'll bring it this way. Send it up top for Myers. Still the point-scoring leader. Second, and actually number 1 in assists. Myers, top 4 all-time points for the Ohio State Buckeyes. McGee gets underneath. Here comes the double from Zappatello. Ajax Zappatello, a strong lift check, and Maryland regains.
Such a surgeon. He is the unsung hero of this Maryland defense. Quiet, yet effective, like an assassin on defense, eliminating offensive players.
Mark, there are plenty of talented long sticks on the field tonight. Both close defenders and LSMs for both of these teams.
It's a theme around the country, and the Big Ten is not immune to it. The amount of talented long poles. Makar, Zappatello for Maryland. Van Buren and Hudgens for Ohio State. Jack Posey at Penn State. Mazzone and Scott Smith for the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays. We have got poles galore, talent unending here in 2023.
Each team has coughed it up 4 times in this opening quarter. 3 minutes left in it. Deadlocked at 2. Sheehan, whose offensive contributions have quieted down lately. Sheehan, no goals in 4 of his last 5, but prone to erupting at any time.
Ooh, you saw the referee reaching for that holster, reaching for the flag. He was going to throw it on Trader, didn't.
Myers' jump shot stopped by Rupel. Ground ball to McDonald. Rupel out of the cage quickly. Brian Rupel in double figures in stops in 5 of his 6 starts this season, as Trader winds his way back to midfield.
He's grown up in a hurry. A kid who is going to redshirt in Brian Rupel. Logan McNaney goes down with the injury. Wes Schmidt, their backup, one of the backups with Dolan, broke his thumb. So when McNaney went down with the injury, it became down to Rupel and Dolan, and a walk-on was invited back to the squad.
Teddy Dolan got in last week against Michigan, mopped up for about a minute and a half in that losing effort to the Wolverines. Kyle Long, nice pass. Kelly fires, he bounced it wide. Diving to the end line, the officials say Maryland ball. 33 seconds to shoot, 1:56 remaining in the quarter. Long, who has points in 27 straight. Kyle Long against Island. Here comes the help from Van Buren, the hatchet man. Urksa hesitates, fidgets right to the goal, and Wallen straightens up and stuffs him.
Wow, what a save by Wallen. I love how he makes himself bigger in the goal. And what I mean by that is he doesn't guess, he doesn't jump, he stands still.
There's Connor Camille, 8 in the white.
He was cycled off on Jack Course. So Maryland doing a great job of the shorty that has 45, Daniel Kelly, setting picks, getting him into space. You saw Urksa with the shorty matchup, beat it, got inside, just was denied by the big Ohio State goaltender.
Final 60 seconds of the opening quarter. Look inside, behind the back, Smith kicked away. Rupel was ready, Smith getting fancy on the doorstep.
And that's one thing Rupel's terrific at, making saves with his body. That time it looked like he got his right foot out to deny that really slick behind the back by Colby Smith. Who could forget the body saves he made against Virginia a few weeks ago in the overtime victory by the Terrapins over the Wahoos.
Ohio State can have the final possession if they so choose, with 30 seconds to go and double that remaining on the shot clock in a 2-2 game. Ohio State this season outstanding in this brand new facility. Standing room only, as you can tell, with the fans ringing the stadium. The Buckeyes average 14 goals a game on home turf.
I'm going to say it's at least half a goal advantage for Ohio State tonight, the juice by this home crowd.
Over the top score, Sheehan.
We just crowned an NCAA basketball champion, but watch Sheehan post up after we saw some brilliant goaltending. Wallen denying Urksa on the doorstep. Not tonight, number 10. And then how about Rupel? Look at Colby Smith. Slick behind the back. Rupel kick save and a beaut. But then we're going to have Sheehan do his best power forward imitation. Post up, square up, finish. Buckeyes with the tally.
As we get to the State of Success, brought to you by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Mark the RPI rankings, smiling on the Big Ten.
It's incredible. All 6 teams in the top 15, and that is gigantic when you consider the metrics used by the NCAA Selection Tournament Committee, RPI, strength of schedule.
Final 6 seconds of the quarter. Weirman, who's been mortal again tonight, comes up with possession for Maryland. Last-ditch effort as the horn sounds, ending 15 minutes of play.
Ohio State caught a break right there. I thought we may have gotten a flag for a hold, but you get out, even up. That is a win for the Buckeyes.
15 minutes complete on a chilly night in Columbus. It's the Buckeyes by 1 after 1. Tomorrow, more lacrosse excitement comes your way with a top 10 showdown between Johns Hopkins and Penn State. Live coverage beginning tomorrow, 7 Eastern, only on Big Ten Network and the Fox Sports app. Mark, Penn State has 3 losses this season, all of them close. They've lost by 1, 2, and 3 goals as we check out the conference standings.
I can't wait for tomorrow night. I mean, we got our hands full with this one, and it's a great game thus far. But Johns Hopkins, to come off really the most embarrassing season potentially in program history, to be 9-3 at this point, such a balanced offense, such a deep offense. The Penn State Nittany Lions, you mentioned it, they could easily be 8-1 with a couple of bounces here and there. Love TJ Malone, love Jack Trainer. Should be a great one tomorrow night from Panzer.
It's a busy Mark Dixon joining me for this Maryland-Ohio State matchup. He'll team up with the Jason Ross Jr. tomorrow for more lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Maryland trying to win for the first time this season when trailing after 1. This is the 3rd such instance. The defending national champions at 6-3, 1-1 in the conference. Ohio State 5-5 overall, and 1-1 in Big Ten play. Maltz working near the midfield line. Hudgens took a tumble. Brennan to the alley against Camille. The midfielder will invert, go behind the cage. Lowers his head. Camille stays with him. Chorus, too tall on that pass, and away to the races come the Buckeyes. This is Johnny Cool pressing it forward for Smith, looking for any fast break numbers. None there. The Terps get back in the hole quite well.
Jack Chorus had a hat trick against Penn State, held in check last week by Michigan, and he's an off-ball guy. He's a great cutter. Great cut there, but you have to credit Ohio State. Good slap on the gloves. One wrinkle Ohio State has made, they now have a pole on Daniel Kelly. You cannot slide off a 45 in red.
Makar on Myers. Smith from the top off the hitch. Picked up there on the outside by Colin Burleys. Sheehan, who has the last goal on the board, has given the Buckeyes the advantage. 10 running for cover against Trader. McGee getting a step on his short stick defender. Sheehan to the interior. Score! Was he in the crease? The officials confer. And they're going to wash it out, it appears.
It looked to me that his foot may have been in the crease before he shot. Right there. Great call by the officials. Great mechanic as well. The single side official, the official that Sheehan was running towards, has feet. And he clearly saw the feet. But now they're calling a push. Okay. I'd like to see that one again. I'm not sure that was a push. I thought that Sheehan, his own momentum, took him in. Let's see. Yeah, I don't like that one at all. I don't like that. Dante Trader did not extend those arms from what I just saw.
Extra man opportunity for Ohio State. The Buckeyes, 46.4%. That's second best in the Big Ten. You'll see the special teams numbers at the top of the screen. A whistling drive upstairs. Another BB for the Buckeyes. DeChico, a Swiss Army knife for Nick Myers, showing off his offensive abilities. First goal of the season.
That was a dart. And that's what you want from your lefty EMO player. DeChico, I don't know if he was really expected to shoot this one. Just steps in. No one closed out. It was early in the sequence, but you have to love the confidence, the step towards the cage, and the high heat. Beautiful shot.
This game's been on the teeter-totter. Coach Tillman with a shake of the head. Ohio State the first two, Maryland the next two, Ohio State the last two. DeChico striking for his season opening tally on the extra man. Urksa with room, he buzzed that one high.
Love how Urksa used that pick. And just as he was using that pick, I'm thinking, how can Maryland win a matchup? If you're Ohio State, you've got to be disciplined on off ball. Those are the two goals that Maryland has scored against you. Really, Maryland has not been able to win a one-on-one matchup so far in this game. If you're Ohio State, be good off ball, good discipline, watch the penalties.
Urksa working around against Van Buren, skip it through. Whittier gets a step on Cool. Cool got him on the head. Multiple flags hit the turf. Maryland soon to the extra man.
Just as we say that, an unnecessary penalty. Nick Myers told us this week they're the most penalized team in the Big Ten. That is not Buckeye lacrosse.
This jump shot is over top of the cage. Maryland to the extra man after Syracuse misfired. It was Maryland head coach who was talking to us this week. John Tillman said Ohio State's defenders usually very systematic. This season much more aggressive. They're letting the athletes be athletes.
You've got two ones in Marcus Hudgens and Bobby Van Buren. They're both ball hawks. They are guys who are going to hunt and they want to eat. We were talking about the discipline. There is no reason in the world to go over the head right there of the Maryland midfielder. That's just a young man's mistake. Johnny Cool, keep your stick in front, funnel him down the wing. Instead, you try to go over the head and you whack him on the helmet.
Special teams numbers, top of the screen. Maryland 1 for 2 last week against Michigan. Maltz denied by Walland. There are more flags headed to the turf.
Great cut by Maltz. And that was a sweet, silky underhand delivery. And I think we're going to have another slash against Ohio State.
Wallen checking the video board
Hold on, Tyler, hold on.
as he sees Blake Island sent to the sin bin. Terps now, two-man advantage.
40 seconds in the
Long back behind the cage. Urksa circling it up. We see Owen Murphy out there for the first time, 55 in the red.
30 in the
Kelly
front.
quickly moving it on the perimeter.
Backside, Justin.
Long skips it to Kelly. Skip it again through. Urksa took his eyes off it on that transition, and it comes up for the Buckeyes, Marcus Hudgens.
Man, you miss a golden opportunity if you're Maryland. Two big mistakes by Ohio State. Urksa, time and room to unleash, and just takes his eye off the ball.
Matt Caputo is 31 in the white. Caputo, goals in 4 of his last 6 games for the Buckeyes, who are doubling up Maryland. 4 minutes into the second quarter, Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. A shout out of thanks to all the men and women in our technical crew, both in Columbus and in Chicago. Caputo playing a little keep away now as the Buckeyes balance up 6-on-6. McGee driving in against Lacey. Help comes from Zappatello. Myers and Smith collaborating on this side of the field. Off the ISO, sidewinder score! Borda! It's 3 unanswered for Ohio State.
Sensational pick set by the Buckeyes. And the Maryland defender was a little bit flat-footed on this dodge, which you cannot be against Borda. And that's Ajax Zappatello. That's no average Joe at the top. Almost moving if you're Dylan McGee. He just got set at the very last millisecond. Poor communication by Maryland. You free Borda out the front door, and he finishes high to high.
Kyle Borda, grad student, transfer from Fairfield, a 4.0 student, by the way, in the fall for the Buckeyes. 5 different players have tallied. They're sharing the wealth offensively and leading 5th-ranked Maryland by 3.
So Jacob Schneider did slash on that second penalty for Ohio State on that man-down situation. Interesting, he is not starting tonight. Johnny Cool, the freshman, is down low, where Schneider, so far, has only been available on the man-down.
Coach Myers has been telling us the last couple of weeks, in fact, there are so many players, a number of them who have been limited in practice. Question marks for whether or not they would be available for their games. They've been gritting it out. Ball down, scoop comes up. Langermeyer the other way. Buckeyes running in transition. Langermeyer taking on Maltz there. Feed it to the interior. This is just flung high. Backed up on the end line. Caputo just misfired. 9 minutes, 26 seconds remaining in the opening half, and they are loving it in Columbus. Striking against the freshman netminder for the Terps. Ohio State by 3. Folks, you can get all the news and highlights from around the conference on The Big Show. It's coming up next on Big Ten Network as this game tonight between Ohio State and Maryland is contested at the brand new Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium. Capacity of about 2,000, Mark, and I know you love the heated field. And when we think about lacrosse stadiums coming to fruition with this new one for Ohio State following Michigan all the way down to long-standing Homewood.
You talk about the commitment that these schools have made to Big Ten lacrosse. Homewood Field, and the old granddad, but they do have the Cordis Center. SHI Stadium, the Horn, great home field advantage. CQ, the Terps love playing in that stadium. Panzermonium, we'll see it tomorrow night. And the first two, Michigan playing in their lacrosse stadium versus the Big House, and then Ohio State playing in their lacrosse stadium versus the Shoe. I know it's neat for the kids to play, but when you have 2,500, you look like it's a drop in the bucket. You get it in this environment, it is a definite home field advantage, gives the players a lot of juice.
Buckeyes ringing the iron there. A whistling drive from Pelkey that hit the crossbar. The ball will be awarded to the Terps. Pelkey gets congratulations along the sideline.
They might be calling it a penalty. Okay, I was going to say, are they calling out a goal? But it's going to be a penalty against, looks like Zappatello, the guilty party, coming off the field. It's an illegal body check against Ajax Zappatello. Pelkey with the rip. And then afterward, that is, wow, that is very un-Zappatello-like. I mean, this is late. It's high. You take one arm off of the, that is not Ajax Zappatello lacrosse. That's not Maryland lacrosse. Terps are starting to hurt themselves.
Second extra man for the Buckeyes. DeChico cashed in on the first one. Rupel gets over there and makes a smart looking stop on Jason Knox. Knox has 5 goals this season, 4 of them via the extra man.
That is a gigantic save from Brian Rupel. If DeChico hits that, they go up by 4. Ton of momentum for the Buckeyes. At least here, they stem the tide a little bit, get to kill off this penalty and try to chip away.
With respect to great goaltending, it's not always the volume, the total saves. It's the timely saves that you make.
Without question.
Terps dragging their heels now with the time expiring on the penalty to Zappatello. So Maryland will get back 6-on-6 as we've drifted under the 8-minute to go mark in the half. Ohio State, the last 3 goals, a 5-2 advantage. Long on the run. Long, chased down by Cullen Brown. Loops it back, finds Brennan. Brennan getting a step on DeChico. The front swing there is just snapped wide. Shot clock at 20.
I like that shot by Kyle Long. A little bit of a hesitation delivery. I don't think Wallen expected it. That was on frame. That would have gone.
Brennan leans in, he fires, that's routine for Wallen. He eats that up on the short side.
Yeah, tried the same move Brennan did, that Kyle Long did, and Wallen was fully aware, fully expecting it.
Camille, Connor Camille, crisply back behind the cage for Jack Myers. Myers went 2 + 4 = 6 against the Terps last season. Ohio State gave the Terps all they could handle through 3 quarters before Maryland ran away and hid in the 4th. That was a 1-goal game going to the 4th a season ago in College Park.
Well, and up until the NCAA tournament, Ohio State was really the only team that challenged Maryland in the regular season. John Tillman talked about that with us this week.
Sneak attack, Sheehan inside, he scores!
I don't know what's going on with this Maryland defense. I'm just going to be as candid as possible. I don't know why you go here. I don't know why you slide. And I think defensive coordinator Jesse Bernhardt's asking the same question. Jack Myers hasn't won the matchup on Maycar all night. And then the slide man, Colin Burles, is like, I got to get from there to here, because if I slide, the guy on the crease is going to be wide open. Very uncharacteristic defense from Maryland.
Sheehan, one of the finest sharpshooters you'll find statistically in the nation this year. He's shooting 68%. Cashed in on a couple of goals tonight. It's 6-2, Ohio State's largest lead in the game, with a timeout call.
You rarely see Maryland beat themselves. They just created, Zappatello with the late hit gives the Buckeyes the extra man. Rupel bails them out. There Maryland creates offense for Ohio State.
Coach Myers loves this new facility, and his team obviously flourishes here. Look at the difference between the home and road records.
And it's the one loss was to Cornell, one of the elite teams in the country thus far in 2023. You can give them a little bit of a break. They played Virginia on the road, Penn State on the road, Denver on the road, Notre Dame on the road, but there's a different feel to Ohio State lacrosse when they are playing on this brand new facility, the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium. Jacked up
are the fans for this one. Standing room only. Coach has been telling us what a hot ticket that this has been.
One of these nights, Joe, if we're not working a game here at Ohio State, I want to hang at the Seuss. That's where I want to be to watch the game.
Fans are bundled up. Temperatures were in the low 50s when we began play tonight.
It's tropical, I think, for Columbus.
Yeah.
So I think they're a little, probably, that might be some alumni from out of town that might have come up, from the south or something. But, you can't beat this weather if you're Ohio. You can beat it, but it could be a whole lot worse.
John Tillman was talking with us earlier in the week and said, you know what? When Maryland shows up as a reigning national champion, they're going to get everybody's best punch, right?
No
It's
doubt.
the Super Bowl, and the Buckeyes have come out with no fear.
Maryland has become the standard, along with the University of Virginia over the last handful of years. But John Tillman, he's missed championship weekend, twice in his coaching career at Maryland? And even then, they were in the quarterfinals. And who can forget the one year that they were out? What was that, 2018, I want to say, the crossbar goal that wasn't against Virginia.
Good defense there from the Terps. Ball on the sideline. McGee will get possession.
Yeah, that can't be Maryland's ball simply because the short stick, number 47, Nick Red, trying to hustle, but he was out of bounds when the ball went out of bounds. Therefore, he took himself out of the play.
Sheehan, who has a couple of goals tonight, working against Trader off the split dodge. Nice hitch on the outside from Borda. Looking to create. Inside roll. He scores! Kyle Borda.
Big deal, big Borda. The inside roll against Dante Trader. We saw Maryland beat Penn State a couple weeks ago on the prowess of their short stick D middies. Dante Trader was one of them. I think he got hurt on that play. You could see he was like grabbing the turf and he just couldn't change direction. As Borda inside roll. Watch him get Dante Trader moving upfield, but I don't like the way Dante Trader is moving in this defensive sequence. Gets inside. That one is an easy finish for Borda.
Trader, as you can tell, wearing a long sleeve on that left leg.
When that
seemed a little gimpy there.
Yeah, and when that ball was being exchanged in the alley up there, you could see him kind of grimace, and it looked like he was reaching for the turf.
5 unanswered for Ohio State. Snapping out of what was a 2-2 log jam. Whittier on the go. Trades it off for Spanos. Urksa with Maltz. Spanos here, who has points in 7 of 9 this season. Through the pick set by Whittier. Camille muscling up on Spanos.
Maryland bench wanted unnecessary roughness there on Brown. They don't get it.
Spanos off the invert.
And where's Owen Murphy?
He has been limited this week in practice.
Yeah.
Have not seen him take a regular run with a second midfield unit. Whittier, bounce shot, score! Zach Whittier.
Big goal for the Terrapins. Zach Whittier getting the job done, winning a matchup. Love this little hitch move, little face dodge. Watch him go, one-handed, right to left, get to the center of the field. And Ohio State has adjusted. They're not having the slide, so they don't. But Whittier cleanly beats his defender up top. Cullen Brown is the one that fell down. Beautiful move.
Back to the face-off X. Can Weirman get another possession for Maryland, as he so often does? Yes. The Terps have the ball, a chance to string goals back-to-back.
Yeah, this is where you need Weirman to go into the phone booth and change into the Superman gear. They're going to need him to get these possessions to come back.
Geppert rings the iron. The long stick midfielder John Geppert with a buzz bomb there that hit the post.
And that's just unlucky for Maryland. I like that shot from Geppert. It just took the ricochet straight to the sideline and just happened to be closer to the Ohio State defender.
Ohio State head coach Myers set up Weirman. It's like he's always going to get you 4 to 6 extra possessions. A season ago, Weirman was 20 up and 15 down against Ohio State. Picked up a dozen ground balls in that Maryland win. Shade less than 4 minutes with which to work in the opening half. 7-3 Buckeyes in white. On the speed dodge, it's Pelkey. Hesitates, fidgets loose. Rupel made the save at the post.
Nice save by Rupel.
Ohio State still in business.
Reset of the shot clock as well.
Myers against Makar. A marquee matchup. Underneath, Sheehan scores again.
We saw Penn State a couple weeks ago really have a lot of success on the invert, dodging the shorties from behind the cage. But again, Maryland creating offense. That little slip, that little lean from Kohler, he's not able to get back to an upright, break down, good approach position. And he's behind Sheehan as he goes above goal line extended and calmly slots it past Rupel.
4 hat tricks now this season for Sheehan. 8-3 Buckeyes. 3:23 left in the half. At the face-off X, they scramble for it. Matthew Fritz was limited this week in practice. Possession belongs to Maryland. Weirman was hopeful for a flag there.
Yeah, I think he was looking for a third violation or maybe a delay of game, but he doesn't get it. And let's make notice that Ohio State is without their top faceoff man. Blanchard out again this game. So credit Fritz for really holding his own against arguably the best faceoff man in the country.
Blanchard, Fritz, Hogan. They were even talking about throwing Island in there, maybe even a long stick midfielder. On the front swing, it's Chorus. There's Maltz. Shaping up on the outside for Brennan, running downhill against Langermeyer. Urksa lost the handle, but he was fouled. Extra man time coming for Maryland. Brennan off the face dodge. Lets it go. He missed it on the short side. Maryland goes a man up.
It's going to be a push, I believe, on Hudgens. The Maryland bench has been a little bit more animated tonight toward the officials, trying to get some calls.
White number 9, push, 30 seconds. White number 9 for push, 30.
And I think fans are going to look at this foul and say, well, wait a minute, Urksa didn't go down. It doesn't matter. And that could have been a loose ball, as a matter of fact. But John is saying that's 3 violations. And that's gamesmanship on Tillman. Trying to get that call, and maybe he earned one for his team on that next flag, that next penalty.
Murphy, he at the top of the formation, 55 in red, has the ball right now. Good look there, bounce shot. Kelly missed the target. We have seen Owen Murphy spot duty on extra man, 55 in the red. Buckeyes lead by 5. Kelly had a couple of goals in the first quarter tonight. Skip it, Murphy over the top, he scores! Moving gingerly, Murphy fires a rocket.
You can see physically how Murphy may be limited in his normal giddy-up. Looks like that left ankle heavily bandaged, but he can still bring it. That's just a beautiful shot. And he softened it up. He passed it up on the one exchange from Coors, and then he gets it back and then just steps down with a beautiful high-to-low delivery. You can see, you described it just perfectly. Hobbled, very ginger on that ankle, but if he can set his feet and get that push-off, it's not his push-off foot, which is good news. Great shot.
Weirman has come on strong in the second quarter. Top of the screen, you now see 7 face-off wins. He's the second most prolific face-off man in Maryland history. Helping the Terps get back into this game. They're within 4 with 100 seconds remaining in the half. Murphy leads the Terrapins in extra man goals. He just cashed in again. Siracusa bullying his way in, fires and scores! Ryan Siracusa.
Watch out. Maryland is starting to get some confidence and starting to find their rhythm. Syracuse, such a steady player. And we've talked about it a lot this year. Maryland's not going to wow you with those one or two guys. They don't move the ball like they did last year, and it's just a pick play. And again, poor communication. And a great recognition by Syracuse getting to Chico on defense, and watch him plant that foot and just fire it. High to high over Walland. Great individual effort. Maryland starting to use the picks, starting to use our athleticism to win some matchups.
That was a missile from about 10 yards. Syracuse earlier goals this season against Richmond and Princeton for the Terps. Maryland entering play, 5th ranked in the land at 6-3, squaring off with Ohio State. As we can share with you a look at the lay of the land in the top 10 in men's lacrosse this season.
It's a huge weekend. We got it kicked off with Rutgers beating Michigan, but there you see Virginia besting North Carolina earlier this evening. Duke, Notre Dame, 1 versus 2 tomorrow. We got Maryland and Ohio State tangling, and then of course that gigantic matchup tomorrow night, 6 versus 8. The Blue Jays and the Nittany Lions of Penn State.
Since the Blue Jays and Nittany Lions have been in the Big Ten, as Big Ten rivals, the Blue Jays have won 8 of 12 against Penn State. Nittany Lions snapping a 2-game skid by topping this Ohio State team at Panzer Stadium last weekend. Maryland seeing Ohio State string together 5 goals in this first half. Ohio State had a 5-goal run against the Terps last year. It was one of the largest runs, if not the largest, against the national champs. In the end, though, Maryland prevailing comfortably, winning 19-12 in what was a 1-goal game. Syracuse back on the board, Maryland within 3. Weirman has won 8 draws in the second quarter alone.
And that 2022 team for Maryland was one for the ages. They could dust you in a second. All of a sudden, a tight game, you're down by 2 or 3 goals, then you look up a minute and a half, 2 minutes later, and all of a sudden you're down by 7. This Maryland team doesn't have that firepower, but look at that grit. Macon, All-American, All-Conference, digging up a tough ground ball to get in possession, but then we're going to have a violation, giving it back to the Buckeyes.
Picture there tells a story. You can see Coach Tillman's reaction. With 60 seconds to go in this opening half, the Buckeyes lean into an offensive possession. This game was 3-2 in favor of Ohio State at the end of 1. Ari Allen takes it for a ride now against Nick Red. Mitchell Pelkey jogs in off the sideline for Ohio State, getting his signals on the same page with Sheehan, who has a hat trick in the first half tonight.
And this is a big break for Ohio State. Maryland starting to get the momentum, but another self-inflicted wound from the Terps. They were offsides, giving possession back to the Buckeyes.
18 seconds to go. Allen, change of direction. His pass was deflected. It comes up for Smith. Smith, thinking about it from down under, ran into a double team. Allen feed it inside. Sheehan scores! The quick stick for his 4th in the half.
This play is made by the strength of Colby Smith. This is a guy who's not incredibly mobile, but look at the strength. That's good defense right there. Lift, check, and because they couldn't dislodge the ball from Colby Smith, when he flips it to Ari Allen, Maryland goes upfield, and there's Sheehan wide open on the crease and just had enough English on it to trickle past Brian Ruppel.
Sheehan with his 4th in the waning stages of the half. As the horn will sound, Ohio State will take a 9-5 lead to the dressing room.
You gotta love the execution of Ohio State, especially offensively. It's the old adage, take what they give you. And the Buckeyes have taken a lot tonight from these Maryland miscues, some very uncharacteristic Terrapin mistakes. You got to give Ohio State a ton of credit for taking advantage of those lapses.
Buckeyes on their way to the dressing room, in control of this game after the first 30 minutes. A very high-scoring second quarter. The two teams combining to put 9 up on the board. Before we kickstart our halftime festivities, we chat with Ohio State head coach Nick Myers. And coach, your team gets 6 in the second quarter alone. How would you describe the offense?
Yeah, no, we're being opportunistic. I really think that's the way to describe them. You know, we got a really good Maryland defense. You know, we've spaced well. We've hit some shots. We're sharing the ball really well. I feel like the ball's moving in the offensive end. You know, gave up a couple there at the end of that second quarter that I'd like to have back, but they're a really good team. So it's been a big, 30-minute battle so far.
Over 30 minutes, Coach. I know you mentioned the last couple that you gave up, but still only allowing 5 in 30 to this Maryland offense. What's working for you defensively?
Well, I mean, listen, we're staying connected down there. I think we've made some timely slides. We gave up 1 in the sub game, and then we gave up 1 on the man down there. I thought getting out of that 2-man down jam and scoring on the other end was a big play. It's Big Ten lacrosse. Listen, we're battling right now. I'm proud of the way the men are fighting. We got another 30 minutes here we got to fight for.
Been an enjoyable game, Coach. Thanks very much.
Appreciate you.
9 for Ohio State, 5 for Maryland, and that's where we stand after 2 quarters. Mark joins me on the other side of the break. Plenty of highlights to share with you with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. The Ohio State Buckeyes put 6 goals on the board in the second quarter. They have a 9-5 lead over the Maryland Terrapins. The head coach of the Terps, John Tillman, joins us before the start of the third quarter. We know that you work very closely with goalies. What were you saying to Brian Ruppel just a few moments ago before you jogged on and put the headset on for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch base with him on a couple things technically and just have a conversation. So, young guy has done a great job for us. So, he's got good nerves, so I'm confident that he'll get off to a good start here in the third.
Coach, what was the message to the team at the halftime?
We just got to clean some things up. A lot of self-inflicted wounds. Just some things that I think we play a little smarter. It's a great group of guys. I love them to death. I just feel like we're at times maybe beating ourselves and creating some opportunities when, listen, you play league games, everybody's really good, and they're going to create opportunities. We just can't help them. So just wanted to take a deep breath, go back to doing simple things well, be fundamentally solid, right? And let's get back on the same page because I feel like we're a little disjointed at times.
John, thanks very much. We appreciate the knowledge.
Okay, thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Getting set for the opening draw of the third quarter. You see the numbers for the 2 draw men on the season. And again tonight, Weirman started slowly, but as usual, he comes on as the game grows along.
Yeah, he's starting to heat up, and Maryland needs him in a big, big way. Wing play will be critical as well, and that's a really tough ground ball picked up by Daniel Kelly. Squirts it out to Geppert. So the Terrapins, a much-needed possession to start the second half.
5th-ranked Terps in a top 20 matchup against 19th-ranked Ohio State. Along with Mark Dixon, I'm Joe Beninati. Tip of the cap to all the men and women in our technical crew, both in Columbus and in Chicago. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Big game tonight between these two. Johns Hopkins and Penn State coming tomorrow. Outside shot. Wallen fights it off from Kelly. It's taken off the turf by Van Buren, and the Buckeyes will bring it back. Ohio State attempting to creep over the 500 mark with a win tonight. They'd be 6-5. Maryland coming into tonight's action at 6-3.
They're coming into this game, Ohio State with an RPI of 14, strength of schedule of 9. Obviously, this game would help them not only just from a confidence perspective of beating the University of Maryland. Would be the first time if Ohio State can pull this out since 2017, but it's also going to improve their metrics.
Johnny Pearson had a game-winning goal in overtime for the Buckeyes in that win in 2017. Nearing the 2-minute mark of quarter 3. Chilly night in Columbus, temperatures in the high 40s. McGee feeds for Allen. Look away interior pass. That bid blocked by McDonald. Off the ground, here come the Terrapins. Zappatello, the All-American. Thinking about it, fires, he scores! Ajax Zapatello.
Gigantic goal for Maryland. A juice goal. Not crazy about this decision by Kyle Borda. Good look from Allen, but then you get a little too cute with it. A toe drag, trying to put it past 3 red jerseys. And look what happens. You come the other way. Zapatello, he's no stranger to pole goals, is able to get his hands free. The attack is locked down on. High heat from number 36.
Second goal in as many weeks for Zapatello. He scored against Michigan last week. Had a helper earlier in the season in a setback to Loyola. Off this draw, whistles, and possession for Maryland and Luke Weirman.
Ball did not come out of the stick of Fritz. Can no longer play with the ball in the back of your stick as a face-off man beyond 1 step. Fritz had 2 face-off violations there in the first half, almost a third. That's wiped clean at halftime. That is the first one for him here in the second half.
This Maryland bunch has won 3 of its last 4. Ohio State falling in 5 of its last 7. Something's got to give. Brennan on the move. Isolating on the wing. Feeds it for Chorus. That was too hot to handle. Long keeps it alive. Forced it to the interior. DeChico was there. Bumped by Kelly. Buckeyes get possession.
Not sure what Kyle Long saw right there. It wasn't short time on the shot clock. He was under a little bit of duress, but you normally see Kyle Long pick that ground ball up and wheel away from pressure, get it out of harm's way. A little sloppy right there. Possession Buckeyes.
Myers back behind the cage. Flag settles in. Soon to be extra man for Ohio State. We hit the 3-minute mark of quarter 3. Jason Knox in no hurry. Shares it with Kyle Lewis. Lewis bluffed it over the top. Pelkey and Myers back behind the cage. Flag down against Maryland. Off the speed move comes Pelkey. Gets topside. Feeds for Smith. Fires. It's fought off by Rupel. He saw it all the way. Maryland's freshman keeper gets undercut there near the sideline as the Terps go a man down.
Love how Rupel read that shot, tracked it, was able to get down low. Colby Smith, when he's staring you in the bullseye, in the crosshairs, is not an easy person to make a save on. Rupel went down low. Let's see what the call is.
Red 20, offsides, 30 seconds. Red 20, offsides, 30.
There's 6 Maryland guys there. So 7 forward is offsides. It doesn't matter if there's only 2 back. So I'm assuming the offside happened before we got that. Ohio State will enjoy an extra man for up to 30 seconds.
Maryland, a plus 15 goal differential in third quarters this season. Attempting to rally back, but they've got defense on their mind right now against the man-up unit for the Buckeyes. Myers with a sky whammy, fires. Rupel made the save, kicked it out to the sideline. Along the sideline there, it's the clearing midfielder Garrett Gibbons who gets the ball. Although they are going to give possession to Ohio State, maintaining possession, though the officials are going to confirm.
It looked from my naked eye that it ricocheted off of Gibbons, number 24 in red. But based on what we've seen, I mean, I could go on forever. Let's take a look at this. This is where instant replay would really be helpful. The ball squirts out. John Tillman's words look like they helped Brian Rupel. The check right there, to me, it goes off the head of the stick of number 24 in red, Gibbons. The referees changed it. I think they got that one wrong, but again, instant replay would be really helpful. And that's not even one that you really typically need it for, Joe. I'm talking about high hits, crease violations. Notre Dame Syracuse last week.
Yes.
The referees got it right when Liam Entenmann saved the ball outside of the goal line, brought it back with possession behind the goal line. If it would have been loose, it would have been a goal, but it wasn't. But it would have made Syracuse feel a whole lot better if the referees could have gotten together and done that on instant replay.
Maryland a chance to claw its way back to the closest it's been since 4-2 early in the second. Syracuse has a goal tonight. Urksa maneuvers in, rolls back. Here comes the double team. Floated over the top, that pass gets away. Syracuse is going to see this one claimed along the sideline. Ohio State's Justin Scherer, the former Terp, comes up with it for Ohio State.
Yeah, playing against his old mates. Has to have a little extra pep in his step.
This pass down the sideline will get away. Turnover. Back to Maryland. We've crossed the 5-minute mark of the third.
Yeah, you've got to handle that if you're Ohio State. You can't give Maryland these second chance possessions. Credit Spanos, though, making himself bigger, jumping up to try to make some confusion with that pass.
Spanos doesn't have to jump up to make himself bigger. 6'5", by the way.
Yeah.
7 with the ball right here. Spanos rolls underneath. Scores!
Inside rolls at this goal that is underneath the Sioux have become commonplace. We saw Borda do it earlier. Now we're going to see Spanos, after helping to create the turnover, just uses his size and leverage to get inside of Connor Camille. Camille's wrist just got too high on his back. Watch it right here. And then Spanos is able to feel that, and he lifts a little bit of a chicken wing with that left arm, and it's totally legal. Had 2 hands on his stick. Nudges the stick up, the hands are on the back, inside roll, goal.
Spanos with tallies in 4 straight games. Maryland with the ball, knocking on the door to make this a 1-goal game now with plenty of time left in the third. Maltz wheeling in against Hudgens. Daniel Maltz sharing the rock with Kyle Long. Long gets to the alley from a severe angle, no shooting room. Chorus, big face dodge. Long off the split, gets away from Scherer. Jump shot, he bounced it wide. It'll stay Maryland possession.
Great pick by Chorus. Behind the cage, if you're Ohio State, you desperately need a stop. You need the next tally.
Here comes another pick trying to chip off Van Buren.
Maryland's starting to get it going, put it together.
Chorus lets it go. Walland fights it off and keeps it away from the goal line.
Nice shot by Chorus. I think he confused Walland. He's a lefty. Put it in his right hand and almost got a knuckleball past the Ohio State keeper.
Langermeyer will advance. Smith hits the trailer, joining late. This one's bounced away.
If you're sitting on the side or behind the goal, I know there's a net there, but number 4 in white winds up to shoot, head on a swivel.
He brings the heat, no?
He's got some pace and velocity on that thing.
Colby Smith, of whom we speak. Dylan McGee has the ball now for Ohio State, their 4th leading point producer, against Donovan Lacey. Trades him off to Trader. Dante wears 5 in the red at the short stick D midfield stable for Coach Tillman and the Terrapins. Shot clock's at 30. McGee off the split. Around the screen set by Smith. This is Myers operating against Makar. Makar keeping him at stick's length. Shot clock's at 18. McGee drawing 2. Feeds for Borda, who has 2 tonight. Borda drops it off. McGee thought about it. Sling it back. Myers on a sneak attack. He scores! Jack Myers.
This is incredible offense by Ohio State. Wallen making the save at one end. Look at Course, stick in the right hand. I don't think Wallen had expected that, but he still had to stick in the right place, feet in a good position. Now watch this. Borda. I thought right here, the one more right to the left by McGee was the look, but look at the skip pass. And you get Burles top side without an opportunity to react. Skip passes are so deadly against the defense. credit McGee for getting it to Myers, and Myers being a big boy getting in front of the cage.
Weirman wins the draw, goes right to the cooker for Maryland. McDonald, the long stick midfielder, will drag it away. They'll settle in 6-on-6. Notre Dame, the only team to blank Jack Myers this season. Whittier looks for the trailer. That's Syracuse. Spanos jogs in off the side for Maryland. Beautiful split dodge there. Wheels away from Van Buren. Island on Syracuse. Kelly keeps it hot. Whittier, topside, score! The bounce shot beats Wallen.
Whittier's second of the night. Jacob Snyder is back in the game for the Ohio State Buckeyes. His assignment is his high school teammate, Daniel Kelly. Watch Kelly create space. He's going to drag Snyder out, and Whittier catches Camille a little flat-footed. This isn't terrible defense, but look at the urgency with which Whittier dodges, soaks the check, realizes that Camille has to recoil to recheck him, and shoots it during that interim.
Another big draw. Weirman wins it, getting the better of Hogan. Maryland piling up the possessions now, thanks to their outstanding face-off midfielder. The chance to move within one. Buckeyes holding on for dear life in front of a standing room only crowd tonight at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium in Columbus. As expected, a thriller shaping up between these two in the top 20. Spanos picking up speed. Rolls back. Greeted there by Langermeyer. DeChico keeping tabs. Cross crease, quick stick. Kelly didn't get that one to go. It rattled around the frame and out.
Ohio State catches a break right there. Kelly was naked on the backside, sticking his right hand. He scores 95% of his goals with the left hand, and that one just doesn't go.
Knox moves it along. DeChico bothered there by McDonald. Leveling up 6-on-6. Mitchell Pelkey and the Buckeyes in white. Pelkey, who has tallies in 4 of his last 5 games overall, yet to strike so far.
He's had some opportunities. Been bitten by the crossbar, shooting it a little bit wide, but Pelkey really gives good punch to this second midfield for the Buckeyes.
Here he comes, working it against Red. Looking to finalize there, switches it back. Lewis against Trader. Pelkey had that one bounce out of his cross. Diving effort from Trader. That pass, a look for Myers, defended by Burles.
Yeah, nice stick in the lane by Burles, deflected.
Myers will try him again. Wanders topside. Shot clock is at 10 for the Buckeyes. Myers on the ISO. Bounces it wide of Rupel. He was in the crease. It's a violation against Ohio State. It's Maryland ball with 4.5 to go in the third.
Myers tried to use his long 6'4" frame in an all-or-nothing proposition right there. It's either going to be a goal or a crease violation. It was the latter as he sent it wide.
Kyle Long brings it ahead. Waits for reinforcements off the Maryland bench. You see Jack Corus getting involved. Corus, who has hat tricks in 5 of the last 7 games. Brennan racing away from Island. Urksa, who has great tempo to his game. Brennan off the split from right to left. Island forcing him upfield. 35 on the shot clock, Long on the sweep. Interior pass for Kelly, deflected away. Camille comes up with it for the Buckeyes. They want to run.
They got numbers.
Connor Camille looking for the 5-on-4 break. Smith slings off the outside of the frame. No goal there. Just trimmed it too fine.
Yeah, I thought that they could have gotten that ball to Schneider. Even though he has a long pole, he was the man wide open and maybe could have drawn something or shot it. Like to give it to Colby Smith, but that one just outside. And Ohio State, they're just playing a lot of defense here in the quarter. Maryland now with a 15-6 advantage in the face-off department. Weirman starting to become Weirman. and wearing down this Ohio State D.
He's been brilliant. Wheelerman has been since the second quarter. Maltz gets loose, sends that shot wide of the goal. Maryland possession. Braden Erksa, the Big Ten freshman of the week last week, of his hat-trick performance in a losing effort to the Wolverines. This is Erksa, determined back behind the goal with Spanos. Leaning in against DeChico. Spanos off the roll. Here comes a double. It's bounced wide. Still backed up by the Terps. 2:40 left in this third quarter. Maryland was trailing 9-5 at the halftime break.
Well, Bobby Van Buren always takes attack number one. And how about that respect they're paying to Erksa, the freshman? He gets number 44.
Coach Tillman of Maryland said Erksa's been getting everybody's number one lately. They put a lot on the freshman's plate. He has shown the ability to deal with those responsibilities. Long on the sprint. Long shovel shot goes wide. Wallen leaves the crease to come up with the ball for the Buckeyes.
Really good defense by Ohio State. Took everything Maryland could give them on that possession, and they come out unscathed.
Terps have 3 of the last 4 goals on the board. Last man to strike, Zach Whittier, his first career multi-goal game. Buckeyes barking offensive signals. Stepping in, Borda hesitates on Geppert. Caputo swings for Sheehan. Sheehan had 4 in the first half for the Buckeyes. Caputo isolating against Lacey. McGee finds Borda, backing away to get downhill on Trader. 90 seconds in the frame. That pass wide open. Sheehan has his 5th.
We talked about skip passes. Ohio State didn't get the skip to Colby Smith when the ball was on the left side of the field. But Sheehan saw that there was a lane. The ball goes to the right side of the field, and Borda doesn't miss. On the doorstep, Sheehan catches it, slams it home. Great vision, great finish. Buckeyes back up by 3.
Mark, the Buckeyes are honoring 2 gentlemen. The initials on the back of their helmets on the decals, JR and TM.
Yeah, Jim Riss and Tyler Murphy. Jim Riss, the father of Evan Riss, a longtime coach at Oakland Mills High School in Columbia, Maryland. And there's Tyler Murphy, the flagpole dedicated to him, a friend of the Ohio State program, on Nick Meyer's coaching staff, died in a car accident. Both of them just really lived for Buckeye lacrosse, loved it. Tremendous energy, tremendous support of this Ohio State program.
Coach Myers said of Murphy that he was on the staff at a time when they were building a culture together here in Columbus, and they honor Murphy, who is a member of the Special Warfare Combat Crewmen. That's SWCC, SWCC, upon every national anthem with a flagpole dedicated to Tyler.
And Jim Riss' wife, Evan Riss' mother, Susan, is at the game here tonight, Joe. First time she's been back in Columbus since Evan graduated, so staying connected to that Buckeye lacrosse family.
Time dwindling in this third quarter. Maryland making a comeback effort. They trailed at the break, did the Terps by 4. They've chipped 1 away from Ohio State's lead. The Buckeyes so strong inside of their new lacrosse stadium, performing admirably and then some tonight. Syracuse, 15 seconds left in the frame. Diving effort, rack attack, score! Kelly, though, in the crease. They'll wash it out, no goal.
Looked like he landed in the goal mouth, and that's a break for Ohio State. They overplayed, overshot Kelly. Great move to the cage, just lands in the dreaded goal mouth.
Rupel with the answer for the Terps. As we are done with 3 quarters in Columbus, the Buckeyes on the lead by 3. Coach Tillman looking for answers on the sideline. A few moments ago, it was Kelly driving to the cage.
You could argue that he was pushed, but it was outside the crease. I could have lived with a flag right there, but Kelly lands he lands squarely in the goal mouth. So that should have been, in my opinion, flag down, good goal. He was forced by the defense into that goal mouth.
Senior night in Columbus. Coach Myers says there are 18 seniors out there with a leadership stake in this program. Those elder statesmen making themselves heard in Columbus tonight. Aside from Ohio State's 6-goal explosion in the second, it's been a very close game. You see the scoreboard divvied up into the thirds with the Buckeyes on top by 3 after 3.
And I like how Maryland tightened things up in that quarter. They didn't make as many defensive mistakes, but they also enjoyed the lion's share of possession as Luke Weirman continues to be dominant at the faceoff dot.
Graphic showed you the Buckeyes unblemished when leading after 3 this season. 5-5 Ohio State in the red overall. 6-3 Maryland. Heading into play, both of these teams in the conference with 1-1 marks. Ohio State's next game at Johns Hopkins. It's Saturday at Homewood. The Buckeyes are 0-3 in true road games this season. Maryland next game, they travel to Piscataway to face Rutgers on Sunday.
Yeah, the Rutgers team got off the mat, knocked off Michigan earlier tonight in overtime. Wolverines trying to build on that program-defining win potentially against Maryland from a week ago.
This drive deflected. It was Borda pulling the trigger. The Terps have had a player score a hat trick in 66 straight games. Nobody with the Terps tonight has a 3 spot on the board just yet. 14 minutes to go in regulation. Caputo works in, gets himself away from Kohler.
I think we're seeing Ari Allen still being eased back into the lineup. Played a lot in the first half, started the second half at attack. He's now out of the game. Caputo getting more runs down low.
On a night when Ohio State has not played Scott White in the midfield, we had been hearing that his availability was questionable. At the end of the shot clock, McGee pumps that one wide. Maryland has to work the full field on the clear. No Steven Zupicic for Ohio State, the long stick midfielder. No Drew Blanchard. We haven't seen the face-off man other than in the senior night festivities. Ohio State and Maryland, you get to the point where we are now in the season, getting to the second week of April, and so many of the players are banged up and dealing with injuries.
Yeah, no question.
Whittier, full throttle, rolls back. Off the hitch, he'll feed this one low for Urksa. Braden Urksa playing a 2-man game with Syracuse. Syracuse from the angle, feeds inside. Kelly scores. There's the Maryland hat trick.
Incredibly unselfish by the Maryland Terrapins. You mentioned Zupicic being out of action tonight. Cullen Brown, the freshman, his LSM 1 tonight. Urksa works him, draws the double, and watch this unselfishness right there. That is just great vision. A lot of players would take the shot right here if you're Syracuse. He recognizes he has the attention of Bobby Hudgens. He slides off of Kelly. Easy finish for 45.
Kelly came into the night tied for first in the goal-scoring department for the Terps. The dominant Weirman gets another draw for Maryland. Weirman, who started slowly. If you've been with us throughout this game, Weirman was on the wrong end of a number of face-offs at the outset. And he has been tormenting whomever is opposite him at the X in the last 3 quarters.
Hey, look at that graphic. Started out 1 for 5, 16 of 19. Struggled last week against Michigan. You really don't see that every day where Weirman is not dominant, if not at least statistically better than his opponent. And today, he is making up for it.
Syracuse off the sweep, a pair of 38s there against Langermeyer. Scherer, the former Terrapin, the transfer who came into Columbus. Friday night at the Ohio State Lacrosse Stadium, standing room only. Ooh. Spanos bumping into Maltz, both of those Terrapins bouncing back up. Under 20 to shoot. Spanos fidgets, goal line extended. Syracuse off the feet inside Urksa. He had a really great look there. He sent it wide.
I think that's the best look he's gotten all night. And Maryland now, with the work of Weirman, getting very comfortable, getting into a rhythm offensively.
Spanos jogs it in, rolling back to the inside against Snyder. As the shot clock expires, the ball goes back over to Ohio State.
Yeah, just not crazy about Spanos right there. Neither's John Tillman. When you've got Schneider, a big, lanky defender, trying to shoot around him probably isn't your best option. If I was Spanos, I probably would have kept that ball hot or maybe chucked it in the corner to make the clearing game tougher for the Buckeyes.
Maryland's first Big Ten road game of the season in Columbus. For Ohio State, its last regular season Big Ten home game.
That's why it's, among many other reasons, Joe, so important for Ohio State to get this one.
Pelkey hesitates against Red. Sends it on back for Kyle Lewis. A couple of seasons on his resume in Lynchburg before transferring to Ohio State. Myers, bottled up by Makar, the All-American defender.
Makar's so fun to watch, isn't he?
Ooh.
Wearing that coveted #1. He is such a good defender in every facet of the game.
Said things snowballed against Maryland last week when they lost to Michigan. Inside that pass for Lewis, he was decked, and away come the Terps off the ground with Zappatello.
You can see Dante Trader, #5. You talked about that sleeve on his leg. You can see there's a wrapping now in that upper leg area. I'm surprised Ohio State didn't go after him more.
McDonald fires from deep. Wallen makes the stop. Looks for the lengthy pass to midfield. Burlace was there to put a wrap on Smith. Ari Allen comes up fidgeting along that sideline. Tightrope there. He'll keep it for Ohio State.
Well, that's the slippery nature of Ari Allen right there. A little Houdini getting out of harm's way. Credit Burles for being disciplined. That could have been a buddy pass on Olentangy Road. That could have been roadkill. But he was smart. He pulled up, almost got the turnover. If you don't have a player the caliber of Allen picking up that ground ball, Maryland probably has possession.
Ohio State right at its seasonal average of goals per game, sitting at 11. Against Maryland's vaunted defense, which features a couple of All-Americas at close D. Rupel went to the splits. This bounds out of bounds. Smith says it should be Ohio State ball. The officials agree.
Hit off of Zappatello's right foot, and he looks to be a little shaken up. I think he can probably shake it off, but something maybe to keep an eye on over the next couple of seconds.
Borda with points in 9 of 11. Sends it back for Caputo. Caputo
15 on shot.
sharing it for Smith. Then McGee downhill against McDonald. Borda. Feed it back behind. Myers. Myers trying to get a step on Makar as the shot clock expires. A solid defensive effort from Maryland.
Just really good defense by Makar. You know Jack Myers' strength when it's short shot clock. Big left hand. You know he wants to get topside. You know he wants to get leverage. Makar was not going to let that happen.
Dante Trader will offer this for Brennan. Brennan, Chorus, and Long have been the top midfield unit for John Tillman all season long. This is Long on the run. The C's part. Wallen makes a fine save. Long tried to go 5-hole.
Thought he could have shot that maybe a half step sooner. Ran himself out of a little bit of angle, but Wallen again just doesn't guess. Really good fundamentally, really big. Not only does he save it, but he prevents a rebound because Kyle Long was coming right at him.
Wallen had 19 saves against Maryland last year in a losing effort. He and his mates have a 2-goal lead to protect with 7:50 left in regulation. Pelkey slowing the tempo, jogs to the corner against Nick Red.
And Maryland just played what, Joe? About 90 seconds, a little over 2 minutes, right around 2 minutes of defense. And then that was a good shot by Long. Don't get me wrong, but now they're right back at it. So really not even an opportunity to catch their breath.
All week long, the Terrapin coaches were preparing their defenders to get ready to grind it out. Lengthy possessions. That's a hallmark of Ohio State. Borda gets to the interior, draws 3 Terp defenders there. Shot clock's at 20. Switch the point of attack. Lewis sends it back behind. Pelkey maneuvers in against Red. Red holds him off. Here comes a double from Makar.
Such good defense.
Floated over the top. It gets away from Smith. Burlace kicks it ahead. Tries to come up with a ground ball scoop. Flicks it on to Geppert. The siren or the horn blared out. Maryland says it's Terp's ball. The officials agree. Maryland down 2, less than 7 to go in the 4th.
I thought that was really smart lacrosse by Colin Burles. He could have picked up that ground ball, recognized the short shot clock, so he didn't. He knew time was on his side, and by the time Ohio State tried to pick it up, they geeked it forward, and the shot clock expires.
Maryland, of course, won its national championship last year with a perfect record. They were perfect on the road, 5-0. Syracuse sent this one wide. On the end line there to back up once more is Daniel Maltz.
Gotta love the way Syracuse has stepped up in this game, as well as Zach Whittier. They're both on the field at the same time, both worthy of polls, but only one can get it.
Both teams double figures in turnovers. See how tight this game has been. Syracuse marked by DeChico. Spanos' turn with an alley dodge. Drifts below goal line extended, has the defenders hung up. Spanos has Langermeyer. Langermeyer with a wrap check. Spanos inside roll. Scores!
A tale of 2 defensive situations for Langermeyer. Spanos is not a speed merchant. He's someone who uses his size and skill to beat you. Langermeyer did a nice job of not overplaying number 7 on the previous sequence, but here he gets hung up, and there's no need to throw that big heavy check at goal line extended. Spanos times it, uses his leverage against Langermeyer, sticks it.
Sports fans get all the news and highlights from around the conference on the Big Show. It's coming up next on Big Ten Network. Maryland clawing its way back to a 1-goal game. It's the first time it's been a 1-goal game since late in the opening quarter. Sheehan, his first of 5 on the night, made it 3-2 at that time for Ohio State. Sheehan with his 3rd different 5-goal game this season. 5 against Detroit, 5 against Cleveland State. And now 5 against the defending national champs, who are ranked 5th in the land, trying to avoid back-to-back losses. Maryland bested by Michigan last weekend. Luke Weirman has been a vital cog in this comeback, and he comes up with another face-off win.
Well, how about the second midfield tonight for this Maryland team? Zach Whittier, 2 goals and an assist. Ryan Syracuse, 1 goal, 1 assist. Spanos just finds pay dirt, and they're getting the reps now. This is a first midfield unit. Kyle Long, Brennan, Jack Corse. They're not producing tonight. The second line is. That's why they're in the game right now.
Ohio State coach Myers says he wanted to make it as competitive as possible at the dot for Weirman, but Weirman wins the draws so quickly, you can't even get your wing players in there.
That's what you get when you're the best in the game. You win it for yourself, you get it to space, and get possession for your team.
5 minutes to go. Real good game. Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. Joe Beninati, Mark Dixon with you. Urksa with Snyder hung up. The freshman wheels in. Goes to the question mark dodge. Spots Maltz. Sharing it with Kelly. He's upset there by Van Buren. Stick swinging aplenty from both sides.
Great lift by Bobby Van Buren. That is textbook discipline, wonderful defense.
Urksa, another speed dodge. Drifts below the goal line, feeds it there, and it's picked off by Hudgens. Marcus Hudgens, who had 3 caused turnovers against Penn State last week. Ball down. It comes up Buckeyes. Walland is there to help support on the clear. Camille will drag it ahead.
Great ground ball by Snyder. Great ride by Maryland. It is not easy to pick up those ground balls at your feet with 70 inches of titanium. Credit Schneider for getting out of harm's way. Possession for his team.
Mark, in a one-goal game now, Ohio State has the ball. What's the right rhythm for them?
Be patient, be smart, but be opportunistic. Maryland has shown a penchant for creating offense for them tonight. They're not going to be desperate, but how aggressive will Maryland be?
Borda racing in. Quick stick to the interior, gets away from Myers. Allen fired. That was blocked by Zappatello. High in the air, Rupel well out of the cage. Smith slips this back behind the goal for Myers as the whistle comes. The timeout is called by Ohio State.
Buckeyes win the substitution game, and they got the Maryland defense on a rotation. It was only interrupted. Myers wasn't able to cleanly catch that pass. Ari Allen kept it alive. And there you see Allen. We've talked about him being nicked up, him being on a little bit of a pitch count in this ball game. He walks off the field ailing a little bit. We'll keep an eye on that situation.
Ari Allen lets this one fly. That's the one that hit Zappatello. And then Allen recoiling after Makar perhaps maybe stepped on the foot there.
Of Ari Allen. That doesn't feel good. Hopefully Allen can shake that off and be a resource for Nick Myers in this fourth quarter late in the game.
The last time Ohio State beat Maryland, April of 2018. Jack Jasinski, 2 goals and 5 assists as they tend to Allen on the sideline. 11-10 Ohio State down the stretch with 3:22 to go.
There we see that second midfield here tonight. Spanos with 2 goals. I apologize, Eric. I took one away from you, I think, a few minutes ago. Whittier and Siracusa. They've been winning their matchups. They've been making plays. Now you go to the other end. Ohio State needs to replicate that. There's no one in Buckeye Nation breathing easy right now. Only up on Maryland, 11-10. If I'm the Ohio State Buckeyes, McGee is my party starter. That's the guy I'm looking for, and my head is up looking for number 4, Colby Smith.
18 seconds on the shot clock. Island maneuvers in against Red, the officials. Messrs. Holland, Harriman, and Hurlbut
And
asking to restart.
And Island is not an offensive midfielder, so you're seeing a 2-prong approach here by Ohio State. He'll start the play, and he's on the field in case there's a shot clock violation. He can just, 1, get back in transition, and 2, be on the field available. Doesn't have to substitute to play defense.
Island did score against Cornell, did score against Rutgers in the Big Ten opener for Ohio State, a win that was authored here on Big Ten Network. 11-10 Ohio State with 3:22 to go. Shot clock at 18. The officials have everybody lined up. And here comes Island. Backs in, bounce shot kicked away. Rupel made a flashy stop. Ball down. A melee for it, and Zappatello comes up with a rock. Maryland a chance to tie this trip. Dante Trader avoids the hit in the open field, sidestepping it, but you can see Trader is ailing.
That leg is bothering him. Zappatello gets the stack. Zappatello gets the ground ball. But that was created by number 20 in red, John Geppert, keeping it loose and not allowing Ohio State to pick it up and get a fresh reset of the shot clock.
Crucial offensive possession now for the Terps. Brennan with the ball, 2.5 to go. Trailing by 1, inside for Kelly. Ball down, snapped wide. Kelly had the cage yawning there and he missed the target.
How did he come up with that and get the shot off?
Ball belongs to Brennan off the end line against Camille. Lowers the shoulder. Powers his way in, draws a double team. Skip it on around. Chorus. From the bad angle, elects not to shoot. Erks carving in. He was taken down. Faded. Kelly fire. Score! We are tied at 11.
Kelly missed a few moments ago. He doesn't miss on this one. Watch John Geppert on this play. Beautiful job keeping the ball alive, preventing Ohio State from picking up the ground ball. Then we get the offense settled for the Terrapins, and Daniel Kelly. Schneider goes after Urksa as the defender falls down, and nobody accounts for number 45 in red. Broken play that Kelly scores on, and that's an opportunity the Terps had to take advantage of.
3 different 4-goal games this season for Daniel Kelly. He had 4 against Loyola, 4 against Syracuse, 4 tonight. This game dead even for the first time since a 2-2 draw early in the opening quarter.
Referees are huddling right around midfield. I'm not sure what this conference is about. There was no flags. Didn't look to be any extracurriculars. I mean, this game, they're chirping at one another. There's no doubt. There's some jawing going on.
First ever meeting between these two schools in 1990. John Tillman and the Terrapins in their 98th season of Maryland men's lacrosse. Facing a Buckeyes team that's 5-1 at home in a brand new stadium.
And if you're Ohio State, you've got to find some way somehow to win this game. I mean, to be up by 4 at halftime, at home, prime time, under the lights, great crowd, all are behind you. You don't want this one to slip away.
Fritz against Weirman at the face-off X. Once the officials have a little conversation, though, with the two bench bosses. See Maryland long stick midfielder John Geppert eavesdropping on that conversation.
We're trying to learn what this is about. But this is game management by referee Tom Holland. Obviously, there's a situation. He's getting the two coaches together to talk about it, and Nick Myers is not happy.
He's the more animated of the two, listening in.
Myers, and remember, these are two teams. These are programs that have had some bad blood between them. Remember the end of the 2017 Big Ten final. After that handshake line, things got crazy. And Nick Myers is barking at the Maryland bench. Specifically, it looked like it was Dante Trader, number 5 in red, being held back now. Nick Myers is not happy.
The verbal jousting continues.
So reading between the lines, you saw Tom Holland having a conversation with John Tillman. I'm going to guess that John Tillman said something. Oh, wow.
So it's the face-off man you see enter the picture, Matt Fritz. An apparent equipment violation.
They're saying that Fritz has the wrong colored gloves on? Maryland earlier this year called a stick check on the Princeton face-off man after he scored a goal. And they were right. It was an illegal stick. The goal was wiped off of the board, and the penalty was 3 minutes non-releasable. I have no problem with that. The colors of the glove, come on. That's ticky-tack. That is ridiculous. Color of the glove does not give you an advantage. This is silly. And now they're calling for a stick check. Oh, wow.
To reset for you with 2:09 left. Maryland has picked itself up off the mat.
Okay, so wait a minute.
Tied the game.
It was Ohio State that called the stick check on Luke Weirman.
Stick check on Weirman, sure, after the glove violation was called.
No, Joe, I thought it was on Fritz. I thought the stick check was on Fritz, so I want to be clear to our audience that was not
the
John
glove
Tillman.
check, though, is Fritz.
Absolutely.
The stick check in response was on Weirman.
Of course. I don't think we made that clear, though. I know I didn't. And Nick Myers is hot. He is hot. Maryland has poked a bear here with this glove color situation.
The glove violation that was called against Coach Myers' face-off man Fritz will award the ball to Maryland.
So it's an illegal procedure. It's not a time-serving penalty, but it's a dead ball illegal procedure. And credit Luke Weirman for having a legal stick.
Whittier on the move. On a night when the Terps have not had Owen Murphy at even strength. He subbed in occasionally, has scored an extra man goal. The others in that second midfield unit have risen up. Spanos turns back for Syracuse.
Moving pick there on Syracuse.
Against Camille. Here comes the help. Whoa! Heavy hit delivered by Cullen Brown with a stick.
There is no way the referee's throwing the flag in that situation.
The Terps get the timeout.
Clearly a slash, and you heard it and you saw it. Not saying it's right, not throwing the flag in that situation, but if you wanted to see Columbus explode, throw the flag on Ohio State.
(11-11) with 1:35 to go. A physical battle on the field, and in recent moments, a verbal battle off of it, involving the two head coaches and the sidelines barking at each other. Maryland rallying back. At one point, trailing in this game 8-3 were the Terps. They've drawn even at 11 thanks to the fourth goal of the game from Daniel Kelly. Fritz has changed his gloves. The color is now gray. There's the white.
Man.
Matt, Mark, you don't see any illegal markings or cutouts or anything that's going to make the gloves themselves illegal, other than the color scheme.
Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, Joe, I'm going to have to look at the rule book. That's the first time I've ever seen this called in a Division I men's lacrosse game.
It gave Maryland this possession and a chance to take the lead. Urksa rolling back against Van Buren. Feed it. Front swing there. Got a shot over top of the cage. Chorus did not convert. Buckeyes have a chance now. Camille brings it across the midline. 1 minute, 5 seconds to go in the fourth.
Ooh. Camille had a lane to the goal, but Nick Myers says, let's call timeout and draw something up.
64 seconds left in regulation. Maryland has already gone to OT twice this season, should we get there. Ohio State has not gone beyond 60 minutes in this campaign.
What is it with gloves and Ohio State versus Maryland? 2017 Big Ten championship game, Jeff Henrick loses his glove in the middle of Jesse Owens Field and played without it, flagged down. This game, Maryland asked for the color scheme check. In both situations, now look, by rule, Henrick should have run off the field or picked his glove up before engaging in play. That's a rule. This is a rule too. But man, you put the referees in a really tough spot. They have to call the game according to rule. But we've talked about it, Joe. No unfair advantage really gained by having a different color scheme. And I've seen Ohio State. Some guys have red gloves, gray gloves, white gloves. I don't know. You got me, my head spinning right now.
Both teams huddling up with 1 minute and 4 to go. The Terps getting more efficient offensively as the game has gone along. Throughout the season, it's not been a hallmark for Maryland. Their goals per possession numbers are not all that great. They picked it up with the emergence of Luke Weirman at the faceoff X, exerting his dominance in quarters 2, 3, and 4. They've tracked Ohio State down, and now the Buckeyes can take the final shot, the final possession. 64 seconds in the game, 71 on the shot clock. A chance for Ohio State to end this one dramatically in front of a standing room only crowd. Patiently waiting on the perimeter, Caputo with Island. Trader is out there short stick defensively. Rupel barking signals from the Maryland net. Time down to 28. Who's the initiator now? Caputo brings it up top. Pelkey and around for Myers. This is the quarterback for Ohio State. Myers on the flip. 12 seconds left. Sheehan with the 5 goals. Makar gets right on the gloves of Myers. It's Sheehan who comes up with it against Zapatello. 3 seconds, then 2. Ball down. Pelkey from the angle. Sent it wide, and we will go to extra time.
Wow, didn't work out the way Ohio State wanted it to. We're going to extra lacrosse. I just looked it up, Joe. Rule 1, Section 21, personal equipment. All players on a team shall wear gloves of the same dominant official team color unless safety reasons require a different colored glove to be worn. It is in the rule book. There it is. Nothing really good here for Ohio State. If I'm Sheen, I'm not going anywhere near number 1. I would have cruised up the alley, maybe gotten it up top, and allowed a midi to dodge from up top. But hey, it didn't work out for Ohio State. We're going to overtime.
Buckeyes will do so for the first time this season. Maryland's win in overtime. The terrific decision that they authored at Klockner in Charlottesville when they took down then number 1 Virginia 14-13. The loss in OT in 3 overtimes to Notre Dame for the Terps 13-12. Pretty good way to spend a Friday night, my friend.
I'm telling you, this is, wow. It is a rule, Joe. It is a rule. I'm just surprised that, I'm just surprised, that's all.
So here's the draw. Weirman backs away. The officials are alerted to the fact that there was a problem with Fritz's gloves. On the left side, that's where he went to the dot. In those gloves to the left, he switched to the gray on the right. Coach Myers says, all right, we're going to play that game. Let's stick check Luke Weirman. This was all in the aftermath of the 11-11 goal from Daniel Kelly.
And this, unfortunately, has overshadowed a really intense, well-played, physical Big Ten lacrosse battle. And you can better believe John Tillman was probably sitting on that for a good part of the game and called for it at a critical juncture, knowing what the outcome could have been and was eventually.
Fritz, who's been subbing in for Drew Blanchard, who's missed the last 3 games now. First possession in the overtime. First goal wins it. It's first possession for Maryland. Geppert breezing ahead.
Another gigantic play by number 20 in red. Second midfield unit, Joe, checking in for the Terps. They're riding with who's gotten them to this point.
Spanos, Whittier, Siracusa. Shaded by Camille. Siracusa, who favors his left hand. Spanos looking over the top at 6'5". Urksa, the freshman, covered up by Jacob Snyder. Urksa has him hung up. Wallen forces it. Gets back to the goal quickly. Urksa on the move. Fires, he scores! It's the freshman who gives Maryland the overtime decision. Maryland has won it 5 straight times over the Buckeyes, and Urksa is fired up and pumped up with his game-winning tally.
The freshman delivers. Braden Urksa, his first goal of the game, is the biggest.
A gutsy effort from the 5th-ranked Terrapins, who trailed at one point in this game 8-3 in the second quarter. Nothing to hang your heads about if you're Ohio State. The Buckeyes, though, let the national champions inch back into the game. The compete level was there for both sides. It boiled over late in the 4th quarter. And it is Maryland showing its championship medal, gutting out a decision in overtime on the road in a place where Ohio State has performed beautifully this season.
Well, I think now we're seeing personnel from both teams managing the emotions of the team before they go through the handshake line. This is the athleticism of Wallen and what he can do. He comes out, he forces the issue, but you throw off the rhythm of your defender a little bit. And you can see Snyder really never got his feet back under him after that little exchange. Urksa recognizes it, runs right at him, gets him on his heels, comes around, and scores. No slide, because the one-on-one defense against Urksa tonight has been terrific, mostly from Bobby Van Buren, but Snyder gets the assignment, gets his legs crossed up, and Urksa delivers the dagger.
Through the handshake line, Urksa, the freshman, with tallies in 4 of his last 5 games, bringing the curtain down on what was a fabulous Friday night game between Ohio State and Maryland. The Terps will get their minds set on a trip to Piscataway. They'll see Rutgers on Sunday. Ohio State next up at Johns Hopkins on Saturday. In the aftermath, Maryland head coach John Tillman joins us. Coach, as best you can describe, what was the issue at hand late in regulation after the 11-11 goal?
Yeah, there was the game was going on, and somebody had mentioned, I can't remember who it was, they were like, hey, why are they using different gloves? And I was like, that is a good question. So I just asked the ref, I go, hey, just a quick question. Don't they all have to use the same gloves? And I just asked the question that. And then I left it at that. And he's like, do you want a stick or a glove check? I go, no. I go, I'm not asking for a glove check. I'm just asking a question. And then those guys met and they made a decision. So I didn't ask for anything. I didn't say, hey, we got to do this or that. And then, I don't know, I was kind of disappointed by like what happened because people didn't have the facts of what happened. All I did was ask the question. During the game, I'm going to ask officials, hey, was that a push? Hey, what about that? Like, we have conversations, and that was just one thing that came up. And they made their decision. Like, that's not for me to decide. I asked them a couple things like about some picks and things like that during the game. I'm always going to have those conversations. All coaches do.
Coach, big comeback win, gut check time for the Maryland Terrapins. What does this mean? Win mean to your program?
I mean, we didn't play great. I loved our fight. I loved what we did at halftime, just catching our breath and the guys sticking together. So that was good. Just got a lot of work to do. A lot of self-inflicted wounds, as we talked about at halftime. But that's us right now. We got a lot of young guys playing, a lot of new guys playing. Listen, Zach Whittier, Ryan Saracusa tonight, Braden Urksa. Those guys weren't playing for us last year. Eric Spanos and all those guys had major contributions, and we really needed them. And obviously a little better second half defensively, which was good. So I just loved our fight. Again, for our group, it's going to be hard this year. We got so many new guys, but we should be scared of heart. Nothing good is easy, so we just got to keep fighting and scrapping. And I'm proud of our guys. It's tough to win on the road.
John, thanks very much. We appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
The Maryland Terrapins, a dramatic come-from-behind win on the road in Columbus with Lacrosse on Big Ten Network. For Mark Dixon, for all the men and women in our crew. Joe Beninati, thanks for your time. Urksa and the 5th-ranked Terrapins with a huge win over the Buckeyes. Maryland prevails as we send you to the big show.